Folks, the biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds and props for Super Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. We have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, and exclusive in-game live betting. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline offers you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit the website today and make the action count a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here. Enjoy the show and go Birds. And a good Go Birds to you today, sir.
And a good Go Birds to you and yours, Mr. Stove Jaco.
Folks, we are here. We are back. It's Friday night. Neither of us are drinking cold ones. We're trying to save ourselves for Sunday. But
correction, I'm drinking a cold Celsius at, get this, 7 p.m. on the dot, which having this much caffeine at 7 p.m. does not bode well for my sleep tonight. I'm probably going to end up going to sleep quite late. But you know what, Steve? Duty calls. We're doing this show. It's a Friday evening. We got a busy weekend ahead of us. Lots of energy, a lot of emotions. We got to be ready to go at all times. And this is not sponsored by Celsius, this show. But if Celsius decided to sponsor us, that would be great. So Celsius, if you're watching Flyperbole, which I'm sure you are.
We know Celsius is watching. We have all the big ones. Bob McKenzie, Celsius. Every big beer brand is out there. But we only endorse high quality local beer brands here on Flyperbole. That's for sure. And shout out to my beers of choice this weekend. I'm running over to Brewery ARS down in South Philly. One of my favorites tomorrow to get the South Philly Special, which is a delicious hazy IPA. That's going to be pounding a few of those on Sunday. I took off Monday, so Bourbon Steve is in town. Yeah, it's going to be ruckus mode. Win or lose, it's ruckus mode, and I'm banking on a win, but we'll see what happens. Listen, folks, I'm going to get more South Philly Special. I got some Human Robot in the fridge. I got some Love City in the fridge. I am stocked up with high quality local brews. And here's the thing. I'm Durston right now. So that's how confident I am. I'm Durston. I got the backwards green Eagles hat on. I don't know how long I can take looking at myself Durston, so I might flip it over soon. But my hair's also too long and greasy right now. I haven't I was gonna get a haircut. I should have gotten a haircut, but then superstition kicked in, and I was like,
no,
I haven't gotten a cut since I want to say late November. So my hair's pretty long right now, and it gets very thick. So the thing is, though, I'm committed, and I'm kind of tempted just to see what it looks like. My barber's going to kill me if I do this, but to cut a little bit off the sides and go a little mullety before I get the full cut. Listen, I'm not fully superstitious, but I'm stitious for sure.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's Super Bowl week. It's fine. No one's judging you for having some greasy ass pizza ass hair. But listen, the superstition's real, and it looks great. It looks luscious. So
we got you can always tell my hair's too long when you can see the flare up at the back.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I see it. Yeah,
it's flipping up in the back, which whatever, dude. It's all good because I had to give in and trim the beard just a little bit. It's still pretty long, but when I was recording PHLY the other day, I kept fidgeting with it, and it kept looking weirder and weirder. And I'm like, oh, I got to do something about this.
Yeah, dude. I've come to the realization that I don't look good with facial hair at all. I've tried it. When I have the 5 o'clock shadow going on, that's the longest it can get before it starts looking horrible. I think with 5 o'clock shadow, it looks okay. But as soon as it becomes stubble, it's got to go because I look so dumb with facial hair. All I grow is the goatee. So I don't grow anything really over.
Yeah. See, I'm great here. I don't connect here, which is my biggest flaw.
Yeah,
I don't have a magnificent Bill Matz mustache. It's great. Between Bill and I, we have a perfect beard. But
yeah, honestly, yeah, you do. That's a great point.
Yeah, but with our powers combined.
Real quick, in the the theme of hats, we had a Super Bowl week miracle, Steve. I didn't think it was going to arrive on time, but my Heavy Slime Birds hat did in fact come in today, Friday, February 7th, 2 days before the Super Bowl. This is a good omen. Literally, it showed up in the mail like 2 hours ago.
That's awesome.
This is a good omen. I think this is a sign of things to come. I think this is a sign of a 56-3 victory.
Oh, that is as bold as it gets.
Perhaps not 56-3, but it's a good omen. It's a good omen, I think.
It's a good omen for sure.
Things are going well.
I mean, we love the Heavy Slime here. Dallas Goedert, I saw him rocking the Heavy Slime Eagles hoodie the other day. I saw the Flyers, the last Flyers game I went to, they were honoring some guy in the military, and he had a Heavy Slime Flyer shirt on. So I was like, hell yeah. So there's the Heavy Slime's getting out there, and it's good shit right there. So go check that out. Check out all those breweries I mentioned. Shop local, friends. Shop local. We're all about that.
Always. Especially with beer and pizza. Those are the two things where it's like there's simply no reason to not
beer, pizza, and honestly, at this point, Philly has so many cool local things that if you can get some cool local stuff, go do it. My hat ain't local. Quigs' hat is local. I got a New Era on here, but this shirt is South Fellini. I don't know why I just felt myself up, but I did. South Fellini Super John Champion shirt that I got a few years back. I love it so much. So South Fellini, another high quality local establishment for t-shirts, and go check all that stuff out. But I don't want to dwell too much on the Eagles because I know we are a hockey podcast, but it's an exciting time in Philadelphia. I mean, we don't see that many championships. It's crazy. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm 40 now. And in 40 years, this is the fourth time I've seen the Eagles in the Super Bowl, which is just is it the fourth? Yeah, this is the fourth time, which is insane to think about. So it was the McNabb Super Bowl, Big Nick, he caught the ball, Tom Brady dropped it. Brandon Graham got the sack, go Birds. There we go. 41-33. Oh yeah. But then the tragedy 2 years ago, and now what we're going to see on Sunday. It's just crazy to think that though for the Super Bowl in 2005, I'm just doing some quick math. I don't even think I was 21 yet. I don't think I could drink during that Super Bowl legally. Just a hair under, because I have a March birthday. So yeah, I couldn't even legally drink. I think I watched that at my grandparents' house. Got to deal with all of they love McNabb. They love to see him puke. Never heard the end of that one. There's a lot of sarcasm there. They really hated McNabb. But yeah, that was again, that was a good Super Bowl. Make all the comments you will about the puking or whatever, but the Eagles lost that Super Bowl by 3. They came close to winning that superb owl there. And
it was good. I remember that Super. They had the ball at the end of the game. Granted, I remember the ball goes right through, I believe it was LJ Smith's hands and right into
the oldest time right there.
Yeah, who was it? Rodney Harrison. Someone picked it off.
I think it was Rodney Harrison. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was an opportunity for them to, tie or win the game or whatever, but it didn't happen. But, it was a good Super Bowl at the time. Honestly, that Super Bowl is what shaped my sports fandom, because that hurt so bad that I was like, I got to see them actually win it.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was just obsessed with that team, with the Eagles.
I truly thought after everything that happened with Chip Kelly that I was never going to see the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And the thing is, I had only seen one championship my entire life, one until that point. It was 2008 Phillies. Now it's 2. Oh, wow. How about that? Oh, wow. But it's shocking to think about. So for the first however many years of my life, I'd only seen one Super Bowl for the Eagles. And now in the past less than 10 years, I will have seen them in it 3 times, which is just what a testament to what an organization they built. If you look at the Eagles before 2000 versus 2000 to now, they're different organizations entirely.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, we've been spoiled. We've been legitimately spoiled. I know we've only won one Super Bowl all time, but over the last
3 NFL championships before that, baby. Don't forget those.
Well, yeah. But like in the Super Bowl,
forget those. People forget.
Yeah, 1960 at Franklin Field.
Beat Lombardi's Packers.
Only time Lombardi has ever lost in the playoffs.
I get upset about that because of that factoid. It's like they beat the guy that the trophy's named after. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you have to count it. It's bullshit.
You know what? So, in the 1960 Super Bowl or NFL championship, they beat the greatest coach of all time, Vince Lombardi. In their first Super Bowl victory, they beat the next greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. Is there a case to be made, Steve, that the third greatest coach of all time is Andy Reid? Could the Eagles just go down this murderer's row of like all-time great head coaches and just one by one beat each of them in their respective championship game?
I sure hope so, pal, because I don't know when the hell anybody else in Philadelphia is winning a championship. I mean, I suppose the Phillies have a chance, right? The Phillies are a great team. They have a lot of like great players on that team, but they also play in one of the most competitive divisions in the entire sport. So the Phillies are a tough one. The Sixers are a complete mess. They might not even make the playoffs, which is insane because they have an MVP and Tyrese Maxey on that team and Paul George, who never plays games. So,
and I'm not sure when they'll make the playoffs again, honestly.
I think they'll be back. The NBA is pretty easy to make with that play-in tournament, to be honest. But when will they be a team that's truly competitive? Because the Celtics are great.
What I mean. Yeah, that's what
they'll make the playoffs, but I can't see them making it past the second round anytime soon. And so the Sixers, not a chance in hell. And then that comes to our beloved Philadelphia Flyers, who I want to do like 2 more minutes of Eagles talk and then get into the Flyers. But we know the Flyers are in a rebuild, and the moves the Flyers made last week really signaled that the rebuild is the plan this year. So the Flyers are nowhere close. So the Eagles, you are our only chance right now, bud. Like we need this so bad. This is like our only foreseeable future happiness right here. So no pressure, but we're really counting on you.
Yeah, no pressure, but
all the pressure. All the pressure. I feel good though. I really love this team. They are just built so well. And you got to love having the best defense. Like that's defense wins championships and they got the best one.
So I was going to say, if the Eagles win, then we can get into Flyer stuff. But if the Eagles win this Super Bowl and the defense is like the main reason why they win the Super Bowl, do we go from Big Dick Nick to Big Dick Vic? Big Dick
Vic Fangio. Okay. See, the thing is, my first association was Michael Vick when you said Vic, and I'm like,
I know. Yeah.
Dude, Vic Fangio, I love that dude. He's like so old school. The Eagles are such an amazing mix of like psychos, old school guys, weirdos, and cool guys. Like Jalen Hurts is like the coolest guy. Vic Fangio and Big Dom are just like old school. Nick Sirianni is a complete psycho.
Lunatic.
It's just a lunatic, like that shaved head maniac. And guess what? They were better after he shaved his head, and we were all concerned. Like we thought he was going to snap and just like destroy the stadium like Bane or something. Which, speaking of Bane, there's Jordan Mailata who's on the field doing Bane impressions. The guy going, "I will crush your spirit." It's amazing. What in an Australian accent. Jordan Mailata, by the way, has gone to a Flyers game, and he loves apparently likes his movies too. So when do we get Jordan Mailata on the pod? It's got to happen.
I feel like Jordan Mailata would do it. I feel like he would join.
Mailata would get me Jordan Mailata, and who was it? Sidney Brown apparently is Canadian and big hockey guy. He apparently brought Cooper DeJean to the Flyers game. Sidney Brown was the main reason they were there. So like we'll get Sidney Brown and Jordan Mailata on, and then Cooper DeJean could be like smiling politely in the corner.
That would be great. I think that would be perfect. Yeah, you know what, Steve? Let's all this football talk.
How are we feeling first? I don't need necessarily a score prediction, but we think they're doing it and we feel good.
I can't give a score prediction. Eagles are the better team.
Eagles are the better team. They got the better defense, and they don't turn the ball over. I feel very good.
I feel good.
And it's all about that Saquon at the end of the day. And Saquon we trust.
Let me say that I've said it before. Saquon is on a fucking mission. I don't think Saquon is losing this game. I don't know if you saw what the Players Tribune tweeted out earlier today, the voicemail that his daughter sent him saying, hey, we love you. We hope you win the Super Bowl. If you don't, that's okay too, because you're our daddy and we love you. And like, he's running for 300 fucking yards.
You're tearing up just thinking about it.
He's going to run for 300 yards.
I'm just thinking about Rocky too, when Adrian's like, just win. Like, that's the vibes I'm getting there, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Let's go, folks. And just whatever you do on Sunday night, be careful, be safe, be responsible, treat your fellow man with respect, and have a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have a lot of fucking fun. Quick's going to have a lot of fucking fun. And I'm hoping I see you on Broad Street sometime that evening, my friend.
Oh, we will be there. We will be there. Yeah.
We're going to find a way. I'm going to find this.
Climbing shit.
I'm going to find the suit of armor guy that I saw back in 2018. Have I ever shown you that picture?
I don't think so. No.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to share that on the screen. I'll get it up in a couple minutes. Like, we'll get into the Flyers talk, but I definitely need to show that picture. It's one of my favorites.
We have been trying to get into the Flyers talk for
I know it's just hard, dude. It's this is such a special time.
Right now, the Flyers are so insignificant compared to what's actually going on in the Flyers in the Philly sports landscape right now. Like,
it's 100% true. And okay, I found the picture. So I'm going to share this, drop it over to my MacBook. Gotta love technology. We'll get it up and then we'll share that. And then I can finally talk about the damn Philadelphia Hockey Flyers. Okay, so we got to share, present, and share screen and window. There we go.
It's funny. We were supposed to record this on Wednesday. And hell yeah. Oh, I have seen this photo before.
This is my favorite. I have two favorite photos from the Super Bowl that year. There's this one where so for the audio only listeners, it is me holding a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper that I hastily poured some rum into. And I'm in a bootleg Eagles shirt, which is also very funny. And I'm raising my arms up next to a guy in, I forget which jersey he was wearing, maybe Fletcher Cox.
I think it's
and
Fletcher.
He's got full chainmail on and a crown and a prop sword. It's just insane.
Good. It's perfect.
It's perfect. I was so happy. I want to see this guy on Broad Street again. I want to see Jeff Mang out there again. All the good stuff that I saw last time. And I want to see Ryan Quigley out there and Italian Joe and whoever I might see on the way. But let's talk about those Philadelphia Flyers now. And it actually is an interesting time right now going into. So we are recording Friday night. The Flyers have one more game before the break. The break being, if you are not familiar, if you've been living in a cave or something like that, the Flyers are taking a break along with the entire NHL for almost 2 weeks so they can play this Four Nations tournament, Four Nations face off. Ryan, forgive me, but who are the Four Nations again? We know the U.S. and Canada, right?
U.S., Canada, Finland, Sweden.
Finland and Sweden. Okay. That's where I was getting screwed up. Sweden, Switzerland are always running over to me, which I'm sure will offend the people of that region. But guys, your S names in Eastern Europe, I don't know what to tell you.
Scandinavian. Yeah, it's fine. So.
It's all the same shit. So, yeah. And the Flyers have a number of players participating in this. Travis Konechny, Travis Sanheim are playing for Canada. Rasmus Ristolainen is playing for Finland. And so is Samuel Ersson is also playing for Finland. So
this is correct. Yeah.
There's a lot going on with the Flyers. Should be fun for stakes. Hopefully none of these guys get hurt. Big old knock on wood. Because
we already had a scare with
Brucey, nobody there.
Risto.
Yeah, we already had a scare with Risto. And
it sounds like he's okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. But
let's keep him out. I don't want him in that Penguins game. I don't want him doing anything. I want to wrap him in bubble wrap.
Mess with it. Yeah, just let him heal up.
So Risto's a big one because TK, the Travi are not going anywhere. The Travi are not trade bait. Samuel Ersson is one of the Flyers' only viable threats in net right now.
Yeah.
Rasmus Ristolainen, well, he is number 4 on Chris Johnston's trade board right now. He is the Flyers. Oh, wow. He's probably the Flyers' most valuable trade asset in the short term right now. And they don't the great thing is they don't have to trade him this year. He'll be very valuable at the trade deadline, but they don't have to trade him. He's signed for a couple more years. His value has risen excrementally recently. Like, is incrementally, whatever. Exponentially. Excrement is poop. I'm talking about poop, guys. How about that? I'm trying to kill Quigs.
That was crazy.
Excrementally. Oh, that's good. I couldn't have made that joke if I tried to. Like, Jesus Christ.
Excrementally.
Well, I guess I know the name of this podcast now. I had another name in mind, but I think excrementally is pretty good.
Yeah.
No. I still think I want to go with the
excremental growth.
Excremental growth. Yeah, you know what? I really liked my name, but this is way better. Excremental growth is 100% happening. That's awesome.
I can't believe that's happening.
That's fucking awesome. I didn't even intend to do that. That's awesome. I'm trying to write comedy, and like I couldn't have written such good comedy as I just said by accident. But talking about the incremental growth of Rasmus Ristolainen under John Tortorella, he's just like, he's so much better. He's such a better player than he was when Chuck Fletcher signed him to that terrible deal years ago. And now he looks like a fine player under that deal. And one could argue he's been the Flyers' best defenseman this season. And honestly, he's legitimately been great. So maybe not great enough to be a top pairing guy, but you know what?
I still think Sanheim's the best defenseman on the team. I don't think there's too much of an argument there. But Risto, like, I don't think there's that much of an argument that he's probably been the second best defenseman on the team. Like, Cam York has not been that good. Jamie Drysdale has, he's improved, I think, but he's been
a lot better lately. But
good. Yeah. Nick Seeler's Nick Seeler. I truly feel like Rasmus Ristolainen might actually be the second best defenseman on the team right now.
No, I'm in agreement there. So he's the biggest asset they have right now, trade-wise. And they had two assets that were also on the trade boards that they finally said goodbye to. And it is so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Or I guess it's so hard to say goodbye to Farabee. That kind of works there. But Joel Farabee is gone. Morgan Frost is gone. We did a little Broad Street Hockey reaction last week. I was very tired and cranky, though. So I've now had a little over a week to measure my thoughts properly on this matter. So just to run the trade down, Flyers send Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee to Calgary. Flames send Kuzmenko and Pelletier over to the Flyers, as well as a second round pick and a 7th round pick in like 2028, I think it was. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I was talking with Bill the other day, and he was saying that like Brian Burke on like Jeff Marrick's podcast was saying that he used to just trade the 7ths whenever he could because he just wanted to leave the draft early.
Honestly, that's a great way to approach it. Like, I'm sure the draft just gets so old after a while. Just get rid of what's a 7th round pick in it. Listen, I know you hear the stories of like some random player being drafted in the 7th round, becoming this unbelievable NHLer. That's so rare. It's not even worth it. Just trade all the 7ths away. It does not matter. So.
You might as well buy a lottery ticket for what you're getting there.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. So it's an interesting deal. My initial thoughts were, I was like, Danny got ripped off. I don't think he got a good deal. But I was cranky. I was very cranky when this happened because the deal had been teased out the entire night. So to put this in perspective, this was the Islanders game last week, right?
Yes.
Which was the second game in a row where the Flyers got shut out. So cranky from that already.
Frost was it the Devils game?
It was one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
It was one of them. Let me look at the schedule.
Flyers Islanders have very similar auras to them, so
they sure do. Well, the thing is, they got shut out in both games.
Oh, yeah, so they blend together perfectly.
Yeah, they blend together very perfectly. The Flyers had a really abysmal week, and that's saying a lot for the Flyers. But yeah, they got shut out in 3 straight games, which is just horrific.
Awesome.
I think it was the Islanders game because if the trade happened on Thursday, that was the Islanders game. They lost 5-0 against the Devils. It's funny because they started off that week so hopeful because they smoked the Devils 4-2, and it didn't even feel like they won 4-2, but then they lose 5-0, then they lose 3-0 to the Islanders, and they trade away 2 of their I'm not going to say better offensive players, but 2 offensive players. And then they can't actually get these guys in the lineup, these new guys. They haven't played yet. They're going to play in the Pittsburgh game on Saturday night, but they haven't played yet. Meanwhile, Frost and Farabee have both scored goals for the Calgary Flames since then.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Visa issues.
Getting
into the United States is difficult now.
Oh, geez. It's almost like they tore down a bunch of government agencies unnecessarily, but that's a whole other, that's not this podcast. So talking about the deal though, straight up, like at first I was like, I don't understand this deal. It's kind of bullshit, but whatever. I have perspective now and I'm not cranky about it anymore. I get it now. It's actually a smart move because number one, I think I was thinking too much in the terms of Frost being a number 2 center on this team, which he shouldn't have been. And being the number 4 scorer on this team, which is fair, but like, his value probably was not as high as I was maybe thinking at the time. And I still think maybe like he could have gotten you could have worked him into a deal with somebody like a Colorado or something, but whatever, because ultimately Frost was never going to be the guy here. We've said this time and time again, and it's true. Frost was never going to be the guy here. And Farabee never clicked under Tortorella. As long as John Tortorella is the coach here, Joel Farabee is not going to be an elite scorer on this team, or even a good scorer is really the way to think of it.
Which is really unfortunate because like last season, he was so good until the last third, like the first 2/3 of the season last year. He was so good. He set a career high in points. I mean, he was great. He was really, really good. But then that ending of the season was so bad for him that it just it kind of almost evened everything out. Even though he had his career best season, it kind of outweighed what he had done earlier in the season. And that's what's so unfortunate. It gave us a preview of oh, maybe he actually could work under Tortorella. And then this season happens, and then he's just invisible. And it's unfortunate because, I do think Farabee is a really good player. I truly believe that. I truly believe Morgan Frost on the right team could be like a 60-point guy, But for both of those players, it just wasn't going to happen in Philly. And people are going to be mad because they're both going to go to Calgary, and they're both probably going to play pretty well. And I can already see people in the mentions, whenever one of them scores a goal, Flyers got fleeced, saying whatever they're going to say. And, sometimes you just got to treat a guy who's not a fit. And if they go out and they flourish elsewhere, then that's just how it goes. But, one thing that the Flyers can say is it's not like they gave up on these guys too early. They weren't giving up on these guys. They just knew that it wasn't going to ever work for them here. And so they had to do something. This is not, I think we've said this before, this is not a Patrick Sharp situation where they just gave up on him way, way, way too early. They gave both these players more than enough chances, and they just didn't develop into what they thought they were going to be fast enough.
I would say, especially with Frost, Frost was getting significant ice time. Frost really got a chance to be a number 1 center here. He got as good of an opportunity as he was going to get. He was playing with Owen Tippett and Travis Konecny, which is incredibly high quality line mates. He was playing with Michkov. Frost was playing with very good complementary talent, which is, you can't actually say that about Frost with the other guys Konecny and Michkov. I'd say the biggest, and Tippett, the biggest thing they're missing right now is a high quality center to play with. And that's part of the reason you make this trade, because Farabee's contract, while I think it's a fine contract, it's still longer term than what they're getting in Kuzmenko. And it's interesting. You're losing some money as far as what you'd have to pay for Frost, because Frost is an RFA. He wouldn't get it. He wouldn't break the bank, but it was time to move on. And Farabee, you're losing those years on the contract. And I forget which podcast or which interview he did. I don't know. There's so many hockey sources, but Briere was out there talking about going big game hunting and looking for that center to really complete this team.
It was 32 thoughts. Yeah.
32 thoughts.
Basically Elliot Friedman was saying that that's what he thinks they're doing, is they're about to go big game hunting. They're preparing. And, just to kind of, let's kind of spread everything out on the table. So just a big picture thing. So Flyers give up Frost, Farabee, and that's it. That's all they give up. They get the 7th, they get the 2nd, they get Pelletier, they get Kuzmenko. By getting rid of Frost, that's more money you don't have to worry about giving to someone this offseason. Joel Farabee, the fact that they were able to get rid of that entire contract without retaining anything is crazy. That's pretty awesome because
this was one of the only teams willing to take that on per what Briere said, at least.
And for his production this season, for a team to take on that $5 million cap hit for what he's been producing this year, that's honestly a pretty solid move. And the fact that they were able to get a 2nd round pick is also very impressive. So all things considered, the fact that you get rid of, a couple guys who weren't working out, you're opening up salary cap space, and you're adding ammunition to your artillery, your draft pick artillery. I think that's a solid move if your goal is to go out and do whatever it takes to get a high-end center. It sure seems that's I've dove into this like I'm trying to decipher hieroglyphics, Steve. It sure seems like that's the goal of this trade, is to open things up a little bit, add to your stockpile of draft capital, and then either, like I say all the time, buy a 1C with that draft capital, or trade or some way, somehow get that 1C, because it's so obvious that that's what they're missing, and they cannot compete until they have that.
They can't. They absolutely can't. And it's not fair to, again, the high talent guys they do have on the wing right now. And again, I'm looking at those guys. I'm looking at Matvei Michkov primarily, Travis Konechny, who's having himself a hell of a year, Owen Tippett, who is frustrating, but you can't deny that speed, and you can't deny the goal scoring ability when it's on. When he's on, he's fantastic. And
it would be nice to see him with a center. We haven't seen Owen Tippett play with a viable center since he came to the Flyers.
And I'll throw Tyson Forrester into the mix too. Tyson Forrester is probably their best two-way winger right now. He's played very well with Noah Cates, and we all like Noah Cates a lot. But we were talking about this in the Slack earlier, like throwing around some deals and stuff. Like, oh, you might have to throw in Cates if you're doing that deal. It's like, I'll throw in Cates on most deals. Like, I love Noah Cates. I think Noah Cates is a great guy to have as a depth player. I like him as like a 3C ideally. They're playing him as like a 1C right now, which is nuts. That shows just how weak they are at that position. But like, I'll throw Noah Cates in on almost any deal. I'm much more hesitant to throw Tyson Forrester on any deal. The other three, TK, not untouchable, but you got to pay me a lot for TK. Mishkov's untouchable. I think Tippett, I throw. No. And I think Tippett into you're going to have to give me a decent amount for Tippett. Not as much as TK, but you'll have to give me a decent amount to pry him away, because I like Tippett. I like his speed in a way that the Flyers don't typically have. So all this to say, though, the top line center is that important. And, I don't think they're going to get like Pettersson, who would be fantastic, especially because the Canucks finally did trade JT Miller back to the Rangers. Who could have saw that happening? Yeah. But why would the Canucks trade him at this point? And I'm actually very suspicious they do trade him, because like, why are you getting rid of this high-end talent? Like, what's the problem with him? So I'm suspicious of any deal for like Pettersson at this point. Not to say I wouldn't try it, I take him, but like, I'm suspicious if they do trade him. But there are guys that are going to be out there that you can offer sheet guys. I think we talked about, was it Wyatt Johnston last week?
Wyatt Johnston, Marco Rossi, man.
Marco Rossi. There are guys you can offer sheet. And if you have the cap space to do that, which this really helps with that, and the cap's going up, and the cap going up like it is
huge.
A huge benefit for the Flyers. Like,
I mean, look at the Travis Konechny contract now. Like, a few months ago we were saying, is he worth this money? And now we see the salary cap increasing so much that it's like a blip on the radar now. It's like you would have to think that the Flyers knew, right? Like,
Yeah. I'm sure that's been communicated by the league. Like, I'm sure when we hear the rumors about this, like they've heard the rumors like weeks before we did.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm getting the numbers up right now for, of course, the NHL.com article doesn't have it laid out as nice as some of the other sites, but let me see if I can find a good article about it. But essentially, like the way it's going to rise, it's going to go over 100 mil, which is, really funny if you follow other sports, like quarterbacks make like 60 mil now. But whatever, the sport is what it is. So that's significant. If they get up there, I think it said it could go all the way up to like 113 or something like that. So for a franchise like the Flyers, who when Ed Snyder was around, Ed Snyder could outspend the other franchises. He would just say, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make this the best team that I can make it. Now, that would make him make some bad decisions sometimes. See Ilya Bryzgalov. But you never denied that he cared. You never denied that he was going to do whatever it took. And say what you will about Comcast, but they're never afraid to spend money. Comcast is a very, very rich corporation. Like the money is not the issue. The Flyers have not had a money issue since the salary cap went into effect. The salary cap is the issue.
Yeah.
The salary cap is something that they've struggled with since it came in. Clarkey had trouble with it. Holmgren did good with it at first. Early Paul Holmgren is like a renaissance of Flyers GM work. He was great until he wasn't. And then when he wasn't, he was making crazy moves to get around the salary cap that they went into LTIR hell for years because of it. And then Hextall went too far the other way where he was just clearing cap room for just nothing at all. It was terrible. And then Chuck Fletcher was just like, hey, I have an app that tells me how the NHL salary cap works. Ding dong.
I forgot about the app.
I'm just convinced that it's a copy of EA's NHL game.
It was probably just Reddit. And he was just listening to internet pros.
He's just listening to Reddit. He's like, upvotes.
Yeah. It's like, well, this person says to go get Tony DeAngelo, and they have the most upvotes. So that's what I think I should do.
Guess who's back? Back again. TDA's back.
He's back.
For the only scumbag franchise that would take him, the Islanders.
Of course he goes to the New York fucking Islanders, Steve. It's a perfect match.
It's poetic. It's poetic. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. It's like Shakespeare's greatest work. Tony DeAngelo to the New York Islanders.
Yeah. But a higher salary cap is one of the only ways that you can really go out and get one of these high quality centers. If you can outspend the other teams, then you can go get one of these guys, which is one of the things that we haven't seen in the NHL in recent years. And it's part of why the parity is so great across the league, because the playing field is pretty leveled. Very few teams are not willing to spend to the salary cap. Like if I'm going to pull up Puckpedia right now, and I guarantee you we're not going to see a lot of teams that are not within range of the cap right now. Let's see. Projected cap space is in the negatives up until the Boston Bruins, who only have 77K. And then the first team with 1 million is the Blues. The thing is, there's just not a lot of teams that have a lot of space.
Don't the Sabres just like refuse to go anywhere close to the cap?
The Sabres, the Blue Jackets are down there. The Blue Jackets have a ton of space. The Flames have a ton of space. The Ducks,
which kind of makes sense because I think that they meant for this season to be a rebuild type deal, and then they just were like, "Oh my God, we actually are good. Look at us go."
But it's wild to think about. Like the Flyers are dog shit, right? Like the Flyers aren't good, and the Flyers only have 2.69 mil, in cap space right now. The Flyers have no cap space, and like, what's the money going to? Where's the money? Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is like. The playing field's like just pretty level for the most part. And you can only pay a star player X amount. Like with the cap going up, who really likes that news? Connor McDavid loves that news because Connor McDavid is paid a ridiculously low amount of money for being not by far, but being the best player in his sport. Like Connor McDavid is a phenom. He is maybe the most we're talking just pure skill.
Well, Actually, Steve, I think if anyone is going to be happy about this, the cap going up, it would not be Connor McDavid. Because if I'm Connor McDavid, I'm angry that I've already locked up this deal.
Like Connor McDavid's only got one more year in his deal.
Really? Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Big game hunting, baby.
I thought he had like the full 8-year, situation. So
oh no, he makes 12.5 mil, which is insane.
Now he should make at least like 18, 19 mil.
He should make 20 mil. He should and I know he's almost 30. He's almost 30. Nobody plays like him.
You pay Connor McDavid that much money. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's amazing guys throughout the NHL. The NHL, there are some phenomenal players, including Draisaitl on his own team, right? But nobody skates like him. So yeah, McDavid's got to be salivating right now. There's a bunch of other guys that are going to be free agents in the next couple of years. Cale Makar's deal is almost up. Cale Makar's going to get paid.
Yes.
There are guys that are finally going to get paid, and it's still I feel NBA swingman money, but still it's better than what they've been making. The fact that Connor McDavid makes 12.5 mil is hysterical.
I feel bad for the guys who got a big payday this past offseason, like Travis Konechny. I feel bad for guys like Travis Konechny who got a huge, a massive pay raise this past offseason and got a big contract extension and a big raise, only to find out that a year later, the salary cap is going up so much that their salary could have been $2-3 million even more. So I don't feel bad for those guys because they got their bag, they secured the bag, but sure. It's just they could have secured even more of the bag.
That's still life-altering money for most people,
Listen, if you're an NHL player and you're getting paid $3 million a year, I hope you understand I envy you quite a lot. That's a lot of money. That's more money than I will ever see in my entire life. So,
honestly, if somebody could just clear out my debt, I'll be really happy.
That would be real cool.
You clear out my mortgage and my other debts, cool. I'll be I'll be living great if you do that. But these guys, it's but the thing is I know people love to complain about how much athletes make, right? But the owners are the ones with the money. So they're the product out there. Sports is an entertainment product. The athletes are the product. They deserve as much damn piece of that pie as they can get. So I'm always in the corner of the players. And I think it's hilarious when people complain about how much the players make. The players deserve it. If sports is a big business, they are the ones who deserve the money.
Yeah. And listen, don't get angry at the athletes for taking the money.
Yeah.
They're getting offered the money. It's not
they're
saying, it's not they're saying, I mean, I guess they are saying, pay me this much money or else I'm not signing with you.
Sure.
But they're getting paid millions of dollars regardless. So yeah, it's the other people. Don't be mad at the players.
Yeah. The workers should, seize the means of production, if you will.
Secure that bag if you can. If it's offered to you, secure that bag.
You get that bag, guys, and the bag should be bigger for these guys. So I'm happy to see it. And I'm also happy as a Flyers fan, just because this is an opportunity for the Flyers to go hunt big game, to sign guys. It was a big deal. I know people who just know him by his reputation now might not feel this way or anything, but as an old head, as somebody who was around for it, it was a big deal when the Flyers signed Jeremy Roenick. It was a big deal when the Flyers brought Peter Forsberg back into the fold. Those were big, exciting signings that the Flyers could do back in the day. And the Roenick one in particular was very exciting. So it would be cool to see the Flyers back on the board for some of these guys. I remember when Panarin was up for free agency and the Flyers weren't involved, when Tavares was up there, and it sucked. It sucked that the Flyers just weren't in a position to go after those guys. And damn, I want to see it's cool seeing the Flyers back in the rumors. Is it a little frustrating at times? Sure. But it's a hell of a lot more interesting as a podcaster to see them in the rumors than doing nothing.
I would rather you be in the mix thinking of new creative ways to make your team better than just there's an amazing player right there who's a free agent. You can just go get him. and you're just like, no, we're not going to do that.
No,
and it's
we're
just
not going to get Ryan O'Reilly.
So you don't want a good player. Okay. All right. Totally get it, Chief. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, doesn't go. If a good player is available, chances are they're going to make your team better. So go get that guy. Don't get Dale Weiss, the Dutch Gretzky. Go get the guy. You know,
go get the guy. Go get Ryan O'Reilly when he's available. Ron Hextall, what are you doing?
Dutch Gretzky ain't the guy.
It ain't the guy. It ain't the guy. Don't go your old Laterra over there.
Your old ain't the guy.
Ain't the guy. So I'm excited, to think about the possibilities. Now, we're going to deal a lot of pain for the rest of the season. The rest of the season's going to suck. Kuzmenko is...
That's the beauty of this season, though. Like, none of us had expectations going into this season. Like, That's why, like, if you came into this season thinking we're going to the playoffs, like, that's stupid. You should not have done that. Like, the only thing you should have come into this season excited about was Matvei Michkov. That is it. And some of the young guys. There was no reason to assume the Flyers were going to go to the playoffs, because if you thought that, that is a twisted way of thinking. With a team this young and with this much inexperience and still with some growing pains, you can't bet on there being playoffs. So with, for people who came into the season with no expectations, I think this is just a blissful way to end the season.
I think it's tough as a podcaster sometimes to keep that perspective, because we're talking about this team every week. And then I've been doing pre and post games for a lot of these games. So it's like, I feel like this season for me in particular, because I've never really done the post game grind, has felt longer, because I'm talking about the Flyers more often than I've ever talked about them in my life. And I talk about them a hell of a lot, but not that I'm not having fun with it. I'm having fun with it, but it's a little tougher when you know that they're going to be bad on given nights. But that said, it's all about Matvei Michkov. And it was good to see some good, we dealt with a week of no scoring from this team, and it was horrible. So last night was kind of perfect, because the Flyers lost, right? They're going to keep going down in the standings. But Matvei Michkov scored 2 goals, got jinxed yet again by the NBC Sports Philadelphia hat trick watch. And
one more time.
Hey there, NBC Philadelphia. I'm talking to you, brother. You better get rid of that hat trick watch and stop jinxing Matvei Michkov, or I'm coming for you, Hulkster.
Like, what do we do?
By the way, fuck Hulk Hogan, by the way. I just have to say that. That guy sucks.
But get that out of here. Well, like, don't you understand? Like, you don't put perfect game watch on top of the score bug. You know what I mean? And granted, I know a perfect game and a hat trick is way more common than a perfect
it's
game.
The same principle. You're jinxing the shit out of it, okay? And as I said, I'm not superstitious, but I'm very stitious. And that's why the beard is this long. That's why the hair is this long.
If there's 10 minutes left in the game and Sam Ersson hasn't let in a goal yet, don't put up a thing saying, shut out, watch. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Don't do that.
Sports fans are so superstitious about this stuff, because, like, I always think back to when Roy Halladay threw his perfect game for the Phillies. Okay. That was the same night. I will never forget this night, because I was in McGillen's, which is... Quigs, have you been to McGillen's before?
I haven't been to McGillen's, but I'm aware of
McGillen's.
I'm aware of McGillen's, and I'm aware of the Claude Giroux karaoke McGillen's video. So
McGillen's, I was summing this bar up for somebody a few months ago. And McGillen's is one of those great bars that, like, everybody goes to. There's 2 bars I think of in Philadelphia like this. There's McGillen's and Oscars. Okay. It's a bar that, like, everybody goes to, like scumbags go, lawyers go, like businessmen go, weirdos, normal ass people, freaks. Bros, like nerds, freaks. Everybody fucking goes. Freaks, real freak shows. Everybody goes to these bars. Okay. It's not for, like, one exclusive kind of person. And it's great because it's, like, one of those places that you can, like, kind of see Philadelphia, like, for all it is, like every aspect of Philadelphia in one place. Yeah. So McGillen's is a great spot for that. I mean, it's like not a good, it's like the kind of bar where, like, they serve you margaritas with, like, sour mix, right? You're not there for, like, the cocktails. You're there for the ambiance and decor. And I went there and I watched the Flyers 2010 Stanley Cup Game 1 there with my now ex-girlfriend. And the bar was there for that, right? We were there for the Flyers, and it was a great atmosphere. I think the Flyers lost that game, unfortunately, and I think they lost, like, by a narrow margin, which sucked. But we're still there for a Stanley Cup final game, which is awesome. I think any of us would kill for that at this point. But during the game, the Phillies game's on like 1 or 2 TVs. The Flyers game's on a big projector, 1 or 2 TVs for the Phillies game. It's a regular season game against the freaking Marlins. Like, who cares? Like, all of a sudden, I look at my phone at one point and I see that the score, I look at the box score and I look and I see no hits. And then I scroll down and I'm like, is there a walk? I'm like, no walks. Okay. And I just like I show my phone to my at the time girlfriend. I'm like, you see this? That and that. And she went, oh shit. And then like other random people around, I just started doing the same thing. I'm like, hey, look at that. Huh? Like, we're just all like so ridiculous. Like, I'm just like trying to mime to everybody that Roy Halladay is throwing a perfect game.
Right.
And like, I can't say the words because we're so superstitious about it. And it's a great memory because then you start to see some of the TVs turn to the Phillies game as people start to realize it. Word starts to spread about it. Yeah. And like, it ends up being like 50-50, which is just crazy to think about. Like, there is a friggin' Stanley Cup final game going on and people had Flyers fever that year. If the Flyers win, the people will come back and get into it. The Flyers just have to win, baby. But that's a great thing to think about too, is like people packed that bar for that game. People were into it, but like this TV started to turn and like, we all friggin' loved watching Halladay throw that perfect game. Just like one of the great pitchers of our time right there, Roy Halladay. Just it's so unbelievable. But what a like special memory it was that night. And I don't think it's that special without the superstitious aspect of it, without the like, like, you see this shit? Like, and a hat trick, not a perfect game, but a hat trick is still like something that you don't want to jinx. You don't want to be like, it's just like a shutout.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not even superstitious. I don't see the point of having a little thing on the score bug saying hat trick watch. Hat trick watch. I don't think it serves any purpose. Like why? Just get rid of it. Like, it's not necessary. So just get rid of it. It's not even superstition for me. It's just totally not necessary.
Oh, it's big time superstition for me. Get rid of it. You're jinxing the shit out of them, guys. Stop it. But regardless, Michkov 2 goals. Looked so happy to kind of get that monkey off his back. It's been a little bit. Been a while.
Rodrigo on that second goal. Rodrigo Abols.
That's a great story this year too, is Rodrigo Abols. Like, I kind of wonder at this point I think once Poehling gets back, he'll probably go down. But like, I don't know. He's been pretty solid. I mean, for what this team is, to have some solid center play is all you can ask for. Slow as shit. But you know what? He's got good heart. He's made some good plays in there. He's, he seems like a smart guy.
Yeah. Like, he's been, not a game changer. Is he an NHL player? Probably not. But you know what? Right now he's playing pretty well. Let him ride it out. Like, there's no reason to take him out. Like, let him play. And just that feed he made to Michkov on that second goal. That is a case of a lot of people get angry a lot, especially for the Flyers, because the Flyers are like kind of notorious, especially over the last several years, for overpassing.
You guys got to calm down, by the way. Y'all are way too angry. Y'all got to calm down a little bit.
Who's angry?
The fans.
About what in particular?
Just in general.
Well, yeah. But like, I feel like people get upset because the Flyers do overpass a lot. Like, on an odd man rush, they'll just
they've done that for they've done that since 2010.
That is a perfect, like, absolute. That's where it's not overpassing. Like, you could argue that Abols could have taken that shot there. That is a perfect situation where you just like, he knew that Michkov was totally open. It would have been a tap in, unbelievable pass. Just, and my favorite thing about that goal, Steve, is Michkov. That was the second goal of the night. He taps that puck in. He doesn't even celebrate. He celebrates the goal like he was just in the corner and he got a plus on his plus minus for the night. Like, he skates directly over to Rodrigo Abols and he gives him his the props that he deserved. And I thought that was awesome for a rookie, for a 20-year-old. I thought that was cool for him to kind of respond in that way, and for him to be like, dude, props to you. That was a sick pass.
I've been really impressed by Michkov as a teammate this year. Like, I know he got into like a little spat with Torts the other night, but frankly, number one, I think Torts respects him. He responded. Yeah. He responds to this stuff. And I think Torts respects him for that. Like, I think Torts respects that he's pushing back and not just like laying down. Like, he wants some fire out of these guys. And I think he's been fiery. I think he's been a great teammate. You know, he has been supportive of his guys, and like, he's gelled with everybody really quick. Like, yeah, has his scoring slowed down? Sure. But you know what? I have seen more than enough from Michkov this year to feel confident about him as a superstar for this team moving forward. Because I just think once he gets the conditioning up, once he gets used to the pace of play in the NHL, as far as like the games go, like the number of games, that is the game count, there's no stopping it. Like, he's going to be awesome. So I just feel very good. It was good to see him score. And yeah, Abols is a great story over there. And they've got some interesting, like, good story guys. What do you think about these guys they traded for? You know, the one thing we haven't really talked about is Kuzmenko and Pelletier as far as like players go. And Kuzmenko's wild because his stat line, I don't know if I've ever seen a stat line that just goes like this, like his does. Like, it's all over the place.
Yeah. So with Kuzmenko, when they initially made the trade, I assumed, oh, well, they traded for him, and the plan is to extend him for like 2 years. That's what I thought, because there is that connection to Matvei Michkov.
Right.
And, you know, they played together, granted, for not even for a whole season, but like they played together with SKA over in Russia. And so I was thinking, oh, pick it up. I was thinking, oh, they're going to, like, they want Michkov to have another Russian buddy to play forward with and have like on a line together. I don't know, but that was kind of my thought process. And like, to me, that made sense that they would like extend Kuzmenko. When Danny Briere had his interview on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick on Thursday, it seems like he threw a little bit of cold water on that. He basically said like, yeah, getting Kuzmenko, he might help us with, scoring. And the fact that he has some, that he played with Michkov in Russia, I think that was just a little bit of a bonus. To me, that verbiage sounds like if that was the reason that they traded for him, then he would have said that right off the bat. The fact that he says, oh, that's just like a bonus, it sounds to me like they're not exactly committed to Andrei Kuzmenko, which is fine because he's 30 years old now. I think he just turned
29. I think he just turned 29.
Maybe. All right. So 29,
but still he's no spring chicken.
Yeah. He's an older player. And he's about to be a free agent. You don't need to commit to him. And who knows, like maybe at the trade deadline, someone else comes calling. They're like, hey, how about Kuzmenko? Like, sure. Trade him away. Like, I don't think they're committed to Kuzmenko, which is fine. If he plays well for them, cool. Then maybe give him another 1 year. I don't know. But, it doesn't seem like they're committed to him because of that like Russian factor, which is good. Jakob Pelletier, I think he is not the type of player who's going to come in and be some sort of staple in the top six. That's not the kind of player he is. But I think he's a good bottom six winger who brings energy. That's from what I can tell and from what I've heard from, Flames fans. And, it just seems like that's kind of what he is. He's kind of an energy guy. Maybe he'll be like a 30-point guy. And he's small, but he's kind of like a energy, like little, one of those guys.
Little mosquito in there.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly one of the players that I think Torts loves. So I think he'll enjoy Jakob Pelletier. And to me, I'm way more intrigued by Pelletier than I am by Kuzmenko.
Right. Kuzmenko kind of feels like a rental, like somebody who, if he works out, cool, but and he might be a stopgap. They might sign him for 2 years just to have basically somebody in there until they get some of the more, some of the kids up and everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating, frankly. The fact that they did pull the trigger on moving Frost and Farabee was a little bit shocking at this point in the season. Like, we didn't think they were going to make moves before the Four Nations tournament. We didn't think they were going to make a move until they had a proper center to come in for Frost. And frankly, again, I was very cranky last week when this happened, but in retrospect, like, it is a bold move by Briere to take a step towards tanking in a way that we didn't expect this team to do. And it gives me a lot more faith in him, because it's reminiscent of what they did with Sean Walker last year, where they did not have to trade Sean Walker. I mean, it was the best choice by far, but like, they didn't have to trade him. Like, they could have kept him. They could have signed him. They could have been he could have helped them be a middling franchise for the next few years. I think the thing is, the Flyers this year, number one, ain't winning a cup this year. Goaltending ain't there. The defense, not quite there. None of the pieces there. The center's not there. None of the pieces there. Michkov needs another year to get used to the pace, blah, blah, blah. We all know. But the other thing is, this draft, which I initially heard was good, but now I'm hearing might not be that good. It might not be that deep. So in this draft, if you can get a top 5 pick, that'd be really nice. That would really help you. You could get, I heard there's some pretty good centers in the top 5 there. So if you can slip into the top 5, you can get a top 5 pick. That could be a real big game changer, because all of a sudden, if you can get a center in the top 5, and then you can sign or trade for another really good center, and then you have Jet Luchenko come up, Sean Couturier might be your 4th line center until you can buy him out at some point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, I think next year's draft, the one with Gavin McKenna, that's the one that you want to try and tank for that first overall pick.
I don't think that's going to happen next year, but I could be wrong.
I don't think the Flyers will be tanking next year.
I think Michkov's going to be too good next year. Between Michkov and Konechny, I think both those guys are going to be too good next year to tank. But maybe you take some of the extra first round picks this year and do what you did last year and try to trade for futures again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, I mean, they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds of this year's draft.
And that's was the second round pick from this deal for this year or next year?
This year.
Yeah. So, and that's a nice pick to have. A second round pick is nothing to sneeze at. Again, I think I was just not in a good mood when this happened, but in retrospect, a second round pick for, Frost is pretty good, especially given where his current value was. Torts has tanked the shit out of his value. Let's make no bones about that. I like a lot of the stuff John Tortorella has done. Morgan Frost is not one of them. He has tanked whatever value it might have been in that young guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But to your point about Briere, I do think it's a good sign that Briere's, he has he's cognizant enough to understand, we're not winning the cup. We're probably not even going to the playoffs. We just got shut out in 3 games in a row. Let's not be disillusioned into thinking that we can actually compete. Let's get value where we can and go from there, and then try and bring in some of this high-end talent, whether it's via trade, offer sheet, through the draft, doesn't really matter. That's my thing, is I think it's a good sign that he's not afraid to, I don't think he's necessarily tanking. I think he's just assessing where the Flyers are and then, moving on accordingly.
I agree that he's not necessarily tanking, but I do think this is a step more towards tanking than we necessarily expect the Flyers to take. It's not overtly tanking, but it's a move that makes the Flyers worse today, in my opinion.
Yeah. But
that's it's not tanking, but it's kind of, it's light tanking. It's a little bit of
to me, tanking is what the Blackhawks have been doing, and
what you mean surrounding Connor Bedard with a bunch of 30-year-old washed out players is not the way to go?
Exactly. There's that. And then, kind of the way that the Sharks have just been obnoxiously just everyone look at how much we're taking,
paid off for them though, because Celebrini looks great.
Celebrini rules. Yeah. But to me, that's what tanking is. What the Flyers are doing is once you get beyond the midpoint of the season and you realize we really probably are not going to be contending for a Stanley Cup, and we're not even close to a playoff spot at this point, to me, that's not tanking. It's just like assessing where you are. And, I guess you could say it's a light tank because you're willingly making yourself worse. But to me, I think that's just the trade-off of like, contending for getting assets. I don't know, but I agree. I think it's a smart move by Briere. And I think it is, again, I think it's a good sign that he's able to say, like, I see what's going on. I don't like it. And let's punt this. Let's punt it. And, we'll try again on the next drive,
No, sir. I don't like it. Yeah. The Flyers currently have 53 points. They are at the bottom of the Metro. They are just barely above the Buffalo Sabres for the bottom of the Eastern Conference. The Buffalo Sabres have 49 points with 3 less games played. So they, could be at the bottom of the standings. And if we look at the NHL overall right now, the Flyers are 26th out of 32. The Sharks have a commanding lead on the tank this year with only 37 points. Oh, actually, not a commanding lead because the Blackhawks also have 38 points. So San Jose and Chicago are in a league of their own as far as being bad. Nashville has been hilariously bad. Sorry to our friend Eamon over there, but only 43 points for them. And then it's Buffalo with 49, Seattle 50, Anaheim 52, and the Flyers at 53. And again, unless the Flyers can really, I don't know, gel together. I mean, Sam Harrison's played better, but the offense is dried up. The power play is pathetic. It's absolute horseshit. I think the Flyers could drop. They probably won't get down to the top. They won't get down to the top or bottom 2, but they could get below Buffalo.
They could. Now, granted, it's Buffalo, so you just have to assume that they're on like a 4-game win streak right now. The losses are going to come in bunches probably for them very, very soon. So you have to assume that will even out a little bit. But yeah, like I think there is a possibility that the Flyers could pick in the top 5 this year. It's possible that could happen. More realistically, I think it'll be kind of what, where they've been the last couple of years, where it's like a, 7 to 9 range. I can see that.
We are owed a lottery ball, though. We're owed one. I'm sorry. After Nolan Patrick, okay, that was just cruel fate from the hockey gods there. We are owed one for Nolan Patrick, okay? You could argue Michkov could be maybe what the hockey gods owed us for that. And, okay, fine. We're owed another one. I'm sorry. There's been too much pain. All right, we're owed another one. Give us a top 3 pick this year.
If the Flyers are going to get a lottery pick, I would rather endure one more not fun season and then win the lottery for Gavin McKenna next year, because Gavin McKenna's like a freak. So that would be optimal. I guess a lot depends on, I would say the 2 biggest factors over the Flyers stinking next year are the goaltending. Like, if Sam Harrison can actually like figure his shit out and stay healthy, like Sam Harrison could be a viable, like a tandem guy, right? Yeah.
So the goaltending's a big factor. Michkov's conditioning, Michkov's like availability for an 82 game season is a big factor. And the center position, if they bring anybody in, there's no way, regardless of what happens, they can roll in with the same group exactly that they have right now, because who's a true center out of that group? Sean Couturier and maybe Ryan Poehling when Ryan Poehling's healthy again. Like, Noah Cates is like kind of a center. He's like more of a wing, but like he's kind of a center. Scott Lawton's a wing at this point. Like, the fact that they haven't playing center shows how desperate they are. And then like, I mean, they just had Jacob Gaucher up to play like, cup of coffee games. He's playing like 6 minutes a night, and like he ain't nearly an NHL player. So the center position is terrible. So like, if they ignore the centers entirely, then the tank's on for next year. And the other thing is Risto. Risto is a big factor at this point because Risto plays a lot of minutes right now. Risto's playing 20 plus minutes a night. And if they trade Risto, they still have some good defensive pieces. I'm not going to lie. Like, Cam York might be having a disappointing year, but Cam York's still a good defenseman. Sanheim's good. Drysdale's shown signs of improvement. And I like Emil Andrei a lot. Email Andrei.
Email Andrei. That is a great nickname.
And a quick note, two very funny nicknames right now with the Flyers. Email Andrei, which we learned about last night. And then the fact that Matvei Michkov is Mike.
Mike Michkov.
Apparently Matvei means Mike. So that's like,
really?
Which is like gift of God or something like that. So like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So apparently Matvei is the equivalent. We went through this whole like journey one day with Steph in the BSH Slack. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's just Mike. That's where it comes from. It's just, that's what the name is.
I thought they just like South Philly-ified.
Right. The old Vinny Prospal.
Yeah.
Which for all I know, Vaclav could be the Vincent of wherever Vinny Prospal's from, but it sounds like a South Philly occasion. Hey, Mike Michkov is a very funny name right there. But the Flyers are calling him Mike. They're calling him Emil Andrei Email. You've got mail. And you know what? There's some fun to be had with this team, even if they are immensely frustrating at times.
And this is the thing. Like, this is what's great about this Flyers team is like, whether they win or lose, like it's like seeing the growth of the young players is awesome. Like seeing Emil Andrei, like on, I think it was the power play against the Capitals. He had that shot from the point, gets deflected by Tyson Forster for the goal. Like two young guys connecting for that goal there. Like,
love that, by the way. The Tyson Forster goal was awesome. Yeah,
you want to see that. You want to see Matvei Michkov scoring the way he is. You want to see these young guys performing well. It's great to see Bobby Brink just like, buzzing around out there. Like, is he going to score every night? No, but like I've seen improvements from him, like small marginal improvements, like in other areas away from the puck. Like
I'd argue Bobby Brink is one of their most creative offensive players for sure.
He is. I think very much so.
It's Michkov, maybe Konechny, and then Brink, I would say maybe.
Yeah, I would put him up there. Like, I think, that's the whole point of this year is watching the development of the young guys. And the fact, like, listen, maybe their numbers aren't what we were hoping they were going to be. I know a lot of people came into the season thinking, oh, Tyson Forster, man, he's going to score like 25, 30 this year. Like, he's not going to do that. But we are seeing, he had a slow start to the year, but now we're seeing him kind of return back to what we saw last season. I think all of this is leading to these young guys taking the next step and becoming legitimate players, like real players. And like, listen, you could also argue, well, we saw the same things out of Joel Farabee, and then he would just stagnate. Could that happen with, Tyson Forster? Could it happen with Bobby Brink? Sure, it could. But like,
yeah, I would say though, the thing about Tyson Forster is like, he already plays a more complete game than Farabee's ever played.
That's the thing. Yeah. So like, I think for me, it's just like, you have to take each player differently. You can't just assume that each player is going to develop exactly at the same rate, or, it's going to be the same outcome each time. It's all NHL players are like snowflakes, Steve. All of them are different. They all develop different ways.
So, snowflakes. That's fighting words for certain segments of the population.
I was gonna say, yeah. Hopefully.
So I will say, despite a slow start, though, Tyson Forster is at 15 goals currently, so very much capable of getting 20. 25 is not out of the question. He is streaky sometimes, so he could do it. Michkov's at 16, so they're going to have at least, very real possibility of having a couple guys over 20, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And then Owen Tippett's at 14.
Tyson Forster could hit 40 points this season. If he has like a solid like ending to the year, he could reach the 40-point mark.
And the fact that we're talking about Michkov, he's almost at the verge of 40 right now, is awesome. Like, I really want to see him hit that. Konechny's still over a point per game right now, which is fantastic. Like development. So we are seeing development. We are seeing good things. It's just, you sometimes have to put it in perspective and remember the excremental growth.
The excremental growth that has to be, we have to utilize that in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, that's the whole point of the season. It's from the start of the year. The name of the game has been the young guys, seeing how they progress, and it's been exciting. Not perfect, but it's been exciting.
It has indeed. Well, folks, we're gonna head out of here. It's funny because Quigs is a little under the weather, and we're like, "Oh, how long is it gonna go?" It's like, it's cool if it's under an hour, but we've just been shooting the shit on a Friday night here.
we were going to record on Wednesday, but then I was like actually perishing. And so I was like, Steve, we got it. I don't know if I can do it. So we did it on Friday, and I'm glad we did because it gave us quite a bit of material.
It gave us a lot of material. I also did 2 lines in a comedy show Wednesday. So,
I thought you were going to say 2 lines of cocaine.
2 lines of cocaine and then 2 lines in a comedy show. Just kidding. But yeah, I did 2 lines in a comedy show. So like, it was nice to not, have to run around and do like a couple things. So it was nice to pace out my performances for the week. Oh my.
Oh, I mean, you're a star, Steve.
I'm a star. That's why they recruit me for 2 lines at the last minute.
I bet. Yeah. You got to get your stars out in any way you can.
I'm the Rodrigo Abols of sketch comedy in Philadelphia.
Came in clutch. You came in clutch, just like Rodrigo did on that second Michkov goal. So
there you go. All right, folks. Well, we're going to head out of here, but we appreciate you all. We love you all. And the best place to reach us is on social media. Where can people find you over on the blue skies, Ryan Quigley?
Oh, wow. You can find me on Blue Sky at Ryan Quigs with a Z. How about you, Steve?
Ryan Quigs with a Z. You can find me at Flyperbole or at Esteban. If it's for hockey purposes, make it Flyperbole. It's Flyperbole over on Instagram. It's Flyperbole over on TikTok. So go check us out there. Don't bother with the X, with the Twitter. I'm done with that crap. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't like it. Done with it. All right, folks. We thank you all. And until next time, in the words of the great Gene Hart, good night and good hockey. And go Birds! There we go. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. EAGLES, Eagles!